I did a film called Vishwarupam with Kamal Hassan sir. Mr. Hassan said, I want you to feel as if you're on fire inside. And I decided I would speak on the inhale for the whole film. I have 76 stitches on my face. I had my plastic surgeon on speed dial, my microsurgeon. I'm not joking. Dr. Pandya was on speed dial. My rugby career for India was 1998 to 2009. Shaurya, Pyar Ke Side Effects, Chameli, Jhankar Beat, Mr. Mil, all of it was at that period. So it was harrowing because every single match was career threatening. So when I became president of Rugby India, I went to one of the sponsors and said, यार मुझे 1 crore दो, मुझे player को पैसे देने. At least 20 players have come to me and said, आपकी बदौलत, not me, federation, घर का चूल्हा जलता है. Experience in age doesn't give you wisdom. How many people do you know who are 75 years old who are rank evil? No. And the guy who was good in that, but good in this also, you know, that's all. I want you to walk away saying, wow, I felt it.
Hi Rahul, thank you so much for taking time off, for being here.
My pleasure.
Sort of in many ways, for most of us, you know, it's tough to find excellence in one field. How have you managed to kind of be excellent at acting and a sport? Like, it's such a rare combination.
I think it's, we are all good at a few things and terrible at others. So you speak to me about tech or about real estate and I'll fail immediately. But the two things I loved as a child, one was sport and the other one was acting. The two things I loved as a child, I found much to my pleasure that others loved me doing it too. You could love singing, and people might hate you singing, you know. So that was really fortuitous because when I stepped onto stage at the age of 6, it was so easy.
Acting was?
Yeah, I found it so easy. And I found studies were difficult.
Got it.
But acting was easy. And I enjoyed it. You can find something easy but not enjoy it. But I also enjoyed it. I enjoyed the attention. And I found that teachers who otherwise would frown at me during class were responding. So that's one. I held it very close to me. I said, I don't want to let go. Admittedly, it wasn't ever a choice of a profession. A Cathedral and John Convent school kid doesn't think of acting as a profession if he grows up there in the 80s. And sport.
Even now, my kids are there.
Okay, so there you go. I always loved playing sport, but that was never, now sport is being looked at seriously as a profession. Many sports, not rugby as yet, fully, but I just loved sport. And what happened with rugby, my discovery of rugby at the age of 13, what happened with rugby in terms of it becoming India being recognized as a test playing nation many years into my career, but enough so that I could play for India for 11 years. All of that was chance, pure chance. I had never ever thought to myself that this is something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Forget about playing for the country. This is something I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, period, is something I didn't. So the direct answer to your question is, you have kids?
Yes.
How many? Okay. Now supposing you had 6.
Yeah.
Would you love them any less?
Correct.
Would you give them any less time? You just sleep less.
Yeah.
That's all you do. If at all, if you sleep at all, you'd sleep less. But all 6 of them would be showered with love and warmth and affection that you would give to one. It's the same with me. I never ever feel that I am working. Never. I've never, from the time I started these two streams, I've never felt a single day that I'm working.
You know, the interesting thing is the two sometimes to a layperson, they seem almost dichotomous.
Antithetical, yeah.
Yeah, in the sense that, you know, if you're acting in many ways, your face is supremely critical, and haven't had a chance to see so much rugby, but I love sports, so catch as much as I can whenever I can.
Yeah.
And rugby doesn't seem to be great for your face as well.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that, or is that on the
Harrowing.
rugby field? Are you ever stressed? Oh, I have this movie next. What if I injure my face, or vice versa?
It was absolutely harrowing for me to, and the biggest years of my life, in the first phase
it's always
of my
both,
life,
right?
in my career as an actor. I started English August. I released in 1995, and 2015 was Dil Dhadakne Do. So you can say my rugby career for India was 1998 to 2009. So whether it was Shaurya, Pyar Ke Side Effects, Chameli, Jhankar Beats, Mr. Nil, all of it was at that period. So it was harrowing because every single match was career threatening as an actor.
Correct.
I had my plastic surgeon on speed dial, my microsurgeon. I'm not joking. Dr. Pandya was on speed dial because I have 76 stitches on my face. And he would constantly be doing little bits of plastic surgery on my face so the scars wouldn't show. And even now, if you look closely, of course, you can see some scars, but you can't see many. So when I used to look at the calendar, 2026, I would first look at which are the international tournaments I'm playing. 1 month to train and the camp, a week for the tournament, and 1 month for hospital, for recovery.
Post every tournament?
Yeah.
Okay.
So say there were 2 tournaments a year, so 6 months went by. Then I would program my films. Then I would say I'm free these months and I'm free these months, because my priority was playing for India. So it was, and I have gotten very badly injured on the rugby field when I have been worried about my face. And I haven't been injured when I've just said, I'm just going to go for it and play. And that's when I unlocked a lot of energy within me.
But it's human, right? Like you have a Dil Dhadakne Do shoot, or you have Jhankar Beats, or you have kind of any of these movies. It's just, so what's the kind of mental gymnastics on the rugby field? Because
you're not serving either profession.
Yeah.
If you're going to be worried about it, you're not going to be playing your best, and you're going to be vulnerable because you're not going to be playing rugby in the way rugby is supposed to be played. If you play it, you get hurt very rarely because you do the right things at the right time.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're trying to check your responses to save something which is antithetical to the basic rhythm and biomechanics of rugby, chances of you getting injured are more.
So it's really funny. I try to catch a lot of NFL football when I can. And one of the things that they say is that it's one of the rare sports, and I think rugby is the same. It's so physical, you can't play it at 90%.
No.
You will just get injured.
You're right.
And I'm assuming that rugby is...
You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
so to manage both for those 11 years was harrowing. There were many beautiful things that happened to me because, and we can get into this later if you wish.
No, I would love to.
One is playing for India, and very few people have done this and I'm so fortunate. Playing for your country makes you anonymous, and I'll explain that for a second. Whereas acting in cinema is only about your name and your face.
Okay.
So when I played for India and you went to a foreign country, they don't know who you are. They don't know you as an actor, as famous. So they will say, the referee will say, number 14, come here, don't do that again. You go for dinner at night where all the nations are together having dinner, and they'll say, India, table 2 and 3.
Got it.
When you go to train, they're like, India, you have training ground number 2 and you got 45 minutes. Nobody asks you your name. You're India. So for me, it used to be so refreshing to just be nobody. And I could just melt into, and I wasn't even the best player in the team. So I would melt into the team, and the team was full of people who had known me, but they didn't care.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no. It was, you're judged as a player.
And again, they can't afford to give you a break, right? Again, because these are team sports. If you are a weak link, everyone gets injured.
No, and so it's not that they were hard on me or soft on me. They were just another player.
It's a team.
I was another player.
Yeah.
So I found that very refreshing. That for me to be in this other profession, and admittedly, if you're a cricketer, it's not the same. You have a name. In fact, you don't have a number.
Yeah.
Nobody ever calls you by your number in cricket. You know, but in rugby, it's very number driven. It's position driven. They'll say, "Who's your scrum half?" Tell him, I don't want any back chat from him. You know, tell the captain.
Yeah.
They say, "Yes, sir, okay, fine, no problem." So I found that the sport I was in, rugby, at its very root, is very egalitarian. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
The most famous sports team, perhaps in the world, in any sport, are the All Blacks.
Correct.
There's a business study on them in Harvard. The All Blacks have a very simple philosophy. You will do as the team demands.
Got it.
Okay? It's just about us and very rooted. So when the All Blacks were playing a test match in England, that's what it's called, and they had a Sunday off.
Yeah.
That Sunday was the London Marathon. And they just went onto the streets anonymously. This is not a social media thing. With big bags of gels, nutrient bars, water, hydration, and they stood on the streets of London and they handed it out to the runners. That's the community service they did. I have the Rugby Premier League. The best players in the world came last year. They're going to be here next. The Messis and Ronaldos of rugby, the very best. The South Africans, the New Zealanders, the
English,
Australians, the English, the Argentinians, French and Spain are top nations of sevens rugby. And they all say, what can we do to give back? We'd love to go to a school, we'd love to go, and we'd love to engage. That's now, so because I was in that sport and I was an actor, it was refreshing. If I was in a sport which had to do which was all about ego,
Individual.
yeah, then I wouldn't have had that relief that I can now take the makeup off and just be myself.
But was it because in so many ways, and I'm not in the industry, so pardon my ignorance if there's some, but in so many ways it seems from the outside that Bollywood or acting, sort of any of the industry, it's almost the opposite of that.
Yes.
The ego is, like, you know, you almost can't be an actor unless you feel like people want to pay to, you know, watch you.
I think the expression of being an actor and being charismatic and being compelling to watch starts with a self-belief that you are.
Correct.
Okay?
You need to have that.
So like this American director, my first 12 years I was on stage, and this American director from Broadway, he used to tell me, when you speak, your voice must shine. Your voice must shine. It must be full, and you should feel it circling the room. It should shine. Now, if you want to feel that your voice must shine, you need to have some ego there, man. You know, you need to say, I'm going to make my voice shine. So it is, I think, the projection of your personality demands a certain self-awareness and a certain positivity, you know, to put out there. And, you know, it is antithetical to the submission and submergement of your ego. When you're acting in a role and you're immersing yourself in that role, the difference between an actor and a star is that the audience will always see the person. No matter what role she or he is playing, the audience will always come to see that person.
Yeah.
I want to see Tom Cruise. I don't care whether he's playing a crippled Vietnam veteran or whether he's playing a bartender behind a bar. I want to see Tom Cruise. Now that's called a star. Where no matter what you do, you're compelling to watch.
Like an old school movie star, right? Like you just...
And you're watching the star. You don't care about... I mean, the acting is well, acting is good, all that stuff. And an actor is, and they're not necessarily different, is somebody who, when he or she submerges into a role, you forget about the person. And you just look at this character. And that is very rare, to separate the actor from the character. But it happens much more when you start your career, because people don't know who you are. Which is why a lot of praise actors get when they do well in the beginning of their career, is because they seem fresh, they seem authentic. But 20 years down the line, when you know the person's mannerisms, are they still going to get written about as being fresh, authentic, unique? And of course, those are different challenges. But getting back to your point, yes, it is self-driven. It is about projection. And especially off-screen, there's a certain demand that you remain charismatic. Whereas that part of it, for me, I mean, look at me.
So, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the acting thing because I find that fascinating as well. There's different schools of acting, Stanislavski, sort of the get into your character, make sure people forget who you are. Was that always your intent when you picked roles? Was that I need to like the character, I need to like the story, I don't want people to see Rahul, I want them to see X, Y, or Z? Or was it maybe different?
There's no question.
Okay.
There's no question. I mean, whether it's the method, whether it's classical, whether it's any other, I mean, there are many schools of acting.
Yeah.
My intent always has been for you to lose yourself in that reality I'm creating. I want you to buy into it completely. Look, all viewing is a suspension of disbelief. I mean, Charlie Chaplin gets hit by a brick and he gets up, he should be in hospital with a third-degree concussion. So you suspend your disbelief. So in the world that the director wants you to create, can I suck you into that world for 2 hours? And that's my job. You must believe. I don't care about anything else.
But
you must laugh, you must cry, I must be able to take you on that journey.
And is that something that, again, looking from the outside, is that something that is maybe a little harder here than it should be? So, are there, because we have larger than life actors, we have larger than life characters, we don't necessarily have, sometimes we lack in the story department when we compare it to Hollywood, at least that's what we feel. And so do you find that even currently, sort of, have you said no to stuff because you're like, this is just not a movie?
Let's stay with the first part of your thinking, and I know where you're going with this. Is it easy to suck people in to a fantastical, absurd narrative or a badly written film or something that is so ludicrous that no one's going to fall for it? Every single art form has both. I'll give you 3 examples. The worst, most fantastical, absurd, embarrassing films are made by Hollywood.
Sure, yeah, 100%. Any of the Marvel movies.
I mean, it's absurd.
Yeah.
With the same story coming again. Avatar 1, Avatar 2, same story. As well as naturalistic. The most fantastical, I mean, you're watching something fantastical and not real, happens on Broadway.
Yeah.
And yet, off Broadway you go and you can see 2 people supposedly in a dungeon, but there's nothing. They're just sitting on, like you and I talking, and they create that world around them. And you have very much the same thing in music. And I'm not trying to be politically correct. Both appeal to me and to you. We have a popcorn side, and we have a, what do you call
it? So many times it's not mood or where I am in life, where I sometimes just want to go and put my brains on the side.
Correct.
Sometimes I want to be challenged. So
Correct. So let's first say that everything is, as long as the intent is to entertain, I'm up for it.
Okay.
Whether I entertain you with a person who's contemplating suicide for 4 hours and I manage to hook you, or whether it's about 16 people dancing with fairies in the middle of an iceberg on top of Mars.
Whatever.
I'm fine. I'm fine with that. So for me, to actually suck you in to this tale or this tale, and I loved Sound of Music. As a kid, I remember really worrying for those kids, and I loved, fantastical tales like there was. If I look back at Satyajit Ray's Gopi Gain Bhaga Bain, which is a fantastical tale, I loved it.
Okay.
Equally, I love the naturalistic stuff too. Everything that Shabana and Nasir and Om did. So I think that your job in both is to submit to the sur of the piece, to the feel of the piece, If it's fantastical, play fantastical, you know? And if it's naturalistic, then play naturalistic. But you have to submit to the piece, and your job is to draw people in, and that is your choice. If it's badly written, in both, there are some terrible art house films,
Yeah.
and there are some fantastic mainstream films. You just have to make sure that it's written in a way that will mesmerize, hypnotize, entertain, suck you in, and both can do it.
And so, in the way you select movies, whether to write, produce, direct, whatever avenue, if you're advising, if you're selecting, would you say the script is something you look at more seriously?
I mean, again, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
I mean, so we've had people say that, no, I just want to work with that director. Or we've had people say, look, I'm sure they'll figure it out. We kind of did a lot of the script while we were talking, right? What I'm trying to get at is...
I understand.
When you approach cinema, or when you approach the selection process.
Yeah. For me, it is the script. If it doesn't sing on the page, I'm not going to be able to pull it out. Second, a lot of people say we write the script as we go along. It is either sloppy, irresponsible, and egoistic, or it is just horrendously bad planning. Cinema is an expensive medium.
Yeah.
You can't afford to make it up as you go along. What you must do is have a fantastic script. Prepare yourself so well for that, Rishan, that afterwards, when you and I are on set and we want to mess with it,
Yeah.
we are so set with the way it's done,
Yeah.
that then spontaneity, then improvisation, then if you say something differently from the way we rehearsed it, automatically my reply will have a different tonality to it, then we can go with it.
Yeah.
That's the magic that you can play. But if I use a real estate example, if you don't have a solid foundation, you're not going to be able to build on top of that and without it falling apart. So you need...
And has that frustrated you in your 20 years when people haven't been prepared?
No.
Or when they haven't? Okay.
Well, I mean, look, I've worked with 17 first-time directors.
Right. Wow.
No,
Yeah.
That's always a gamble.
Yeah.
So what propels me to do that? And the scripts have been nice. Not, oh my God, I can't believe it. No, they've been nice.
Yeah.
So the chance with the first-time director is as chancy as it gets.
Yeah.
It's as chancy as it gets. Most times, touch wood, they've worked out well. Anvita Dutt made a fantastic film called Bulbul.
Yeah.
Sujoy Ghosh made a wonderful, fun film called Jhankar Beats.
Yeah.
Dave Menegal made a cult hit called English August.
Yeah.
I've chosen well.
Yeah.
What you have to choose then, and you're saying, Rahul, what if is intent, energy, and a basic meeting of minds,
Yeah.
meeting of cinematic ideas, and if that is done, then, but the script still has to be acceptable. I've just done a film with Akash Kaushik, a first-time director, an action comedy for the first time in my life, and he's wonderful. And so they took a little extra time getting shots together, a little inexperienced, and that's fine. Those are things you can look at.
Yeah.
But essentially, is the script workable? Is there something in Jhankar Beats that has charm to it?
Yeah.
Is there something in Bulbul that has a deep pathos to it? Is there something in this new action comedy that is going to make you fall off your chair laughing? As long as that's there and the intent is good, I'm willing to take that risk. But if someone says, it's just a working kind of script, we'll work at it as we move along, there's no chance. There's no chance.
When you selected some of these movies, Jhankar Beats is just one of my favorite movies of all time, and I was at an age around that time when popping a balloon was just hilarious, or kind of it was rare enough for us, the topic, where it was exciting. It was almost like the movie is taboo.
Yeah.
But we knew enough to find it funny.
Yes.
And most of us weren't married then as well, at least in my friends. So again, it was just new stuff. How important is the audience reaction to you when you're selecting these scripts, or is it just something you don't care, or is it like, oh, this is, I'm going to make a Masi movie now, or I want to do a Dil Dharakne Do, I want to do something that is sort of larger, and I think more people will watch. Doesn't matter how many people watch.
So you asked me two questions.
Yeah.
One is, do I keep the audience in mind when I'm reading a script? And second is, how do you choose your films?
Yeah.
For me, the first part is, I am the audience.
Correct. Okay.
It might sound like, no, you're not, Rahul. I am. When I watch, I cried during Casper.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like any other Indian audience.
No, I get that. Like a
You
lot
know-
of times I design an apartment. Most of the time I design an apartment, and what if I was to stay in it?
Yeah.
So I
And I don't bring my socio-cultural sensibilities into. I'm like you know, I've watched Buñuel and Fellini and Ray, and let me watch this film. No, I'm like, I'm just the boy with a packet of popcorn going into a cinema hall.
Yeah.
And for me to be that boy who stepped onto stage for the first time, or the boy who discovered rugby at 13, Prashant, as a human being, it's very simple because I've kept my life very, very authentic. Forget about success, forget about fame. It's very authentic to who I am. I'm the same guy I was when I was 6. I've learned, I make fewer mistakes, I'm kinder, more compassionate, but that's what evolution is.
yeah.
For me, evolution is to get to a more peaceful, kinder space for myself and for the world. That's the only definition of evolution for me. Are you kinder today than you were yesterday? Are you more compassionate today than you were yesterday? And for me, that's, so aside from that, the essence of who I was is still very, very authentic. So when I read a script and I put myself, or when I'm directing a film, I directed Everybody Says I'm Fine and Purna, I think of myself as the audience. And I say, if it moves me, it'll move them. In terms of choice of movies, there's one other factor that comes in, and it's not about fame, it's appetite.
Okay.
You know, you have Chinese food for 3 days. On the
Yeah.
4th day, you're like, I just want ghar ka khana.
Yeah.
Give me khichdi, give me dahi,
Yeah.
give me sabzi, shark, and give me some, papad. I'm fine. So for me, it's that. If you do 3 comedies, you want to do something with more gravitas. You do 2 wrenching, emotionally blood-curdling stuff, then you say, okay, let me now just do something light. Let me do something just like the buddy film or
Yeah.
whatever it is. So the action comedy, for like, I did a film called Berlin, which is a very good, tight, claustrophobic spy thriller last year before last. So Bulbul was very wrenching, Berlin was very claustrophobic, and then I got this action comedy.
Okay.
I was like, yes, because for me to do broad physical comedy, nobody's ever seen me do it.
Actually, in general, and I don't know if you have a opinion on this. I'm 38, but when I was growing up, we just had comedy after comedy every 2-3 years. We
Yeah.
just, as much as we love Jankar Beats, and most of us loved it, it never felt as rare as it does now. Almost now that I look back the last 10 years,
Yes.
I just felt like I should have enjoyed it even more
Yeah.
because there hasn't,
Because it's just,
like I see Andaz Apna Apna, I see Hera Feri, whatever, these kind of cult
Yeah.
funny movies, and why? So like the moment you said action comedy, I'll break you for a second, I just got excited. I don't even know anything about it. I'm like, I'm dying to see a funny Hindi
like
funny
True Lies,
movie.
like Schwarzenegger's True
Yeah,
Lies.
or just
Yeah.
that just gets me off my chair. That's not just slapstick.
It's, I think that everything comes and goes in waves. You'll turn around 20 years from now and say, how could I have designed this? Who does brass and glass now? You understand? So it's just, it's a wave.
Yeah.
The world moves one way, then it moves another way. So right now you can see in India, there's a lot of violence,
Yeah.
a lot of visceral violence, a lot of true to life violence, a lot of mythic action heroes.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of that happening. And it will turn. And you'll have love stories coming out and pouring out of your ears for the next 5
few
years.
years, whatever,
And then you'll
yeah.
go somewhere else, and then you'll have,
Yeah.
I remember the era when Govinda was doing such
Yeah.
fantastic comedy work. There's a spate of films.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that things move according to, as they say, what the audience wants. And you'll have Chinese food for 3 days and you'll say, let me have home food for 2 days.
Correct.
वो तो होगा ही होगा. mumkin hai. It's not mumkin hai, it's inevitable. So I don't worry about that. I think that I don't look at what's going to be in fashion. What is the audience going to accept? I've never looked at that because I don't matter. I'm not a player in the industry.
Got it.
I don't have financial heft. I don't make or break careers. I don't make or break my own reputation. I have, after 32 years in cinema, I have no image. I'm the guy who was good in that, but good in this also, you know. Like he did Pyar Ke Side Effects and he did Bulbul.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to be known as. Like if he can pull off Mr. and Mrs. Iyer and he can pull off Jhankar Beats, then obviously this guy is an actor.
Do you watch a lot of movies? Are you a fan of cinema?
I mean, I watch movies that I want to watch.
Sure.
Some of them are very bad, some of them are very good. But I watch because I just want to see where the world is going.
Yeah.
And then I want to see stuff that will, like I saw Hamnet in the same week that I saw one of the worst Hindi films I've seen in my life. It was shocking how bad it was. And that's fine. That's fine. I just want to see what everybody's talking about. Happy to see that. And I also want to see what the world is talking about in terms of a great performance or a great film.
Like, do you kind of reassess or recalibrate based on, you know, Sayara is successful or Stree successful or Dhurandhar is successful, let me go see it and tweak something?
Sean, I'm not interested in being a star.
Sure.
I never was.
But you have to be competitive if you play sport.
No. You're very wrong.
Not in the traditional sense of I want to be better than him, but just I want to make a...
No. I want to be able to suck you in with my work, my performance.
Got it.
That's all. I want you to walk away saying, wow, I felt it. That's all I want. Why does one do a sequel?
Yeah.
You do the sequel because you only want to make money. You want to increase your fan base. That's it. It's not that you're going to be recreating, it's not a new creative challenge. It's a plus 10% creative challenge. How can I take this further?
Sure.
There's nothing new. The world is the same.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's for the audience.
Always for the audience. I'm saying it's always for the audience. Of course.
Correct.
It is to make money. It is for the audience.
Yeah.
It's a commercial decision. I've never done a sequel, which doesn't interest me to do something which I've already done.
Yeah.
I have a few years left in my life. I want to do stuff that will challenge me. I mean, the action comedy, I don't say a word for 80% of the film. It's pure physical comedy. There's no dialogue. Now, I started my career doing this.
Yeah.
Not many people know that. Very Chaplin broad on the stage.
Okay.
I was doing.
On theatre?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, black and white stuff.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaplin, Keystone Cops, all of that, with the director of Broadway. But haven't done it since. And people will. So I said, this is going to be fresh. This is going to be cool. I'm going to be using muscles, acting muscles that I never used before.
Was it fun to shoot and just a riot, or?
It was fantastic.
Okay.
But shooting is always fun,
Okay.
and shooting is always not fun. It's both things. Like for example, I did a film called Vishwarupam with Kamal Hassan sir, and I played a very bad man, Al-Qaeda terrorist, who gets cancer because he's working with radioactive material for bombs. So he's beginning to die of cancer, and Mr. Hassan said, I want you to feel as if you're on fire inside.
Got it. He was the director as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
like you're burning up inside. So I decided that his voice would be very strained.
Okay.
Now instead of straining like this, all human beings speak on the exhale, by the way.
Right.
Your voice is on the exhale.
Correct.
Right?
Okay.
But I decided I would speak on the inhale for the whole film.
Was that a trip? Was that?
Try it. Just say, how are you on the inhale?
How?
No, you're exhaling.
How?
You're
It's
exhaling.
tough.
You're exhaling. You're doing
Yeah.
it wrong. No, you have to exhale and go, how are you? On the way up. So it's totally antithetical to human biology.
Does that harm your acting? Like, is
No,
that
it helps.
mentally?
No, you have to make it a habit. So now I don't talk about this because
So
You're-
what's the practice?
You
like?
respond to
This
the
is fascinating,
performance.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, but this is fascinating. What's the practice for? Because
It's a physical practice.
it was your decision
Yeah.
on the
Nobody
script.
told me.
And do you do that on your own for a bit before you
Yeah.
go to Kamaji or whoever
Yeah,
and
yeah.
say like, okay, this is my
I was just
thought.
discovering stuff, and I said, if I'm sucked up from inside, if
Uh-huh.
I'm burning up from inside, then there's no breath.
Yeah.
He's always like, so I said, why can't I speak like that? So then I began to practice how to speak on the inhale. It's just, it's mad, but it's just,
And did that?
dubbing was crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, did that like have a huge kind of
Dubbing was
exhaustion
crazy.
effect?
Yeah, everything was exhausting.
And these are the other thing is a lot of these movies are not in your first 3-4 languages.
Yeah. As an actor, I decided that I would never ever worry about language.
But what's the process like that? Like how do you do?
Very painful. First, you have to read the script in English.
Yeah.
Then you have to read the script in Roman Tamil or Kannada and say, oh, okay. So then you have to say, okay, this phrase means what? This phrase means this in English.
I'm going to interject you for 1 second. So you mean when you read the script first, it is translated?
When you read the script first, it's fully translated.
Fully
it's an English script.
translation, English.
Then
yeah.
they give you the Tamil in Roman, in
Okay,
English
so
language.
pronunciations.
Yeah, you know,
and- yeah.
Solria, S-O-L, whatever.
Yeah.
Then you say, okay, this phrase, the English thing is, I just walked into the room
Okay.
and I saw the man dead.
Yeah.
And in Tamil it's something. You say, and they say, no, the first part is I saw the man dead. The second part is I walked into the room.
Okay.
Right? So then you say, okay, fine, now say it in Tamil. So somebody will say it in Tamil. So you're putting the emphasis into, I saw the man dead. They said, yeah, that's where the emphasis is. I said, good, fine.
Okay.
So then I have to understand the Tamil tune, the emphasis. So I've got the words. Some of the words will be slightly Sanskritish. So I might get bhay, which means
Got
fear.
it.
And I will lock on to something
Yeah.
like that, just to get an idea of what the sentence is about. And then I'll understand what it says in Tamil. Then I get the tune. Ta-ra, 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 ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Like,
Someone's walking you through all of this.
Yeah, as I walked into the room, the guy fired at me. You know, I walked into the room and there were bullets firing at me. So in Tamil it'll be, whatever. Na 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 na. So I get that tune. Once I get that tune and I've mugged up the words, then I say, okay, now I have the tune and the words, and now I'm going to do it. And then the whole process I have to do again in the dub.
Do you remember any of this stuff, or is it just short term? I just mug it up and I'm good.
This
to
is
go?
like my TYB commerce. The moment I finished the paper, I forgot every single thing to do with commerce for the rest of my life.
I did.
And
that.
I got a first class.
I did law like that.
Yeah. Just absolute in and out.
Does it drain you in a different way?
Yeah.
Like, is it still exhausting?
Yeah.
Because like we've spoken for whatever an hour, but it seems to me like you like thinking about the script. You like thinking about the movies you do. Obviously, that's what we've read as well. Is it almost unnerving to say stuff that you may not know kind of exactly what it means and it's just mugged up, or that is that?
No,
is,
it's your duty to know at that moment. You can forget it later, but at that moment you know it completely.
And so these are not. There's no teleprompter behind you.
No,
there's
nothing,
okay.
nothing. You just have to. It's the same process whether it's in English or whether it's Tamil. You have to get to know the Tamil as well as you know the English for those 15 minutes
Yeah.
or for those 15 days. You have to. You have to. Otherwise, the audience is not going to buy it.
Correct. And is it, are there words that always still trip you up, or looking back at the movie? Do you watch your own movies? Once they're made?
No.
Okay.
I will watch it once.
Okay.
Maybe in the edit. And then I know what I've done wrong. I know where I've really screwed up. I know where I've done something good. I know, and then I'm like, fine. It's not that I'm not being arrogant and saying I know and I don't need to know what other people think.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's just that I know, because there's nobody more critical, more scathing, more scornful of my work than myself. I'm my harshest critic. The only thing that I resolve to do in everything, including this interview, to give 110%. So when I walk out of 25 South, I don't regret any kind of answer I should have given Rishank when he asked me. I should have no regret that I held something back, because that would be impossible for me to live with in any aspect of my life. and it would be disrespectful to you.
Does that come from the rugby?
No,
That's just who you are?
yeah, this is my culture. This is a life, a set of values that I've created for myself. I'll give you another example. I've done over 500 talks on leadership, and this year I was thinking more and more about. Normally, I would start my talk on leadership by saying that there are different kinds of leaders, and leadership. There's different kinds of ways to lead. You can lead from the front, you can lead from the back, but in today's world, you have to lead from the front and the back. You can't do both. You can sometimes from the front, sometimes from the back, but never just one.
Sometimes neither.
Sometimes macros, sometimes macro, sometimes micro, but you're going to have to be many people in that one body you inhabit. And this year, I started by saying, name me one great leader in history who's been evil. One great leader in history who you would recommend your children. What are their names?
Saisha and Dev.
Saisha and Dev. You must follow this person because she was a great leader, or he was a great leader, but a very evil person. Would you recommend anybody like that to your children? And the short answer is no. The greatest evil leader people can think of is Hitler. I'm like 6 million Jews. Yeah, in the gas chamber. Is that great leadership? I mean,
Hitler, Stalin.
So, anybody who we would recommend as a role model of leadership to anyone else would automatically be a good person. A person who did good as opposed to did evil. There's no question about the fact that you would never recommend an evil person. Which means that a prerequisite for leadership is to be a good human being.
Yeah.
And which means to be a good human being, you cannot do anything wrong. And I resolved at least 20 years ago that I would do nothing wrong.
Sure.
I mean, if my phone falls down and is stolen by somebody, I have no problem. I have nothing to hide. You want my tax returns? Here they are. Right now, I'll give them to you.
Got it.
I'm a very private person, but I have no secrets.
I think those are two different things.
I have no secrets. So I'm saying in that respect, the values that I've put together for myself, no one taught me this. Be good, be kind, these are things you hear. But the idea of not doing anything wrong, ever, never ever doing wittingly, knowingly,
Yeah.
it's non-negotiable for me.
It's kind of like we used to have a saying internally, like, just if you know it's going to hurt the other person, try to avoid it, don't do it.
But there are so many things we do even out of greed. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Yeah.
We do the wrong things out of greed. We break laws because we are scared. We do many things out of fear, So I think that there are many impulses that make you do the wrong thing. I'm going to defend a father who will hurt somebody who's taking food away from his starving daughter. It's contextual.
Yeah.
It's contextual. But outside of those contextual exceptions, it's not a decision I find people taking nowadays.
It's something that also, I don't know if it's for you, right? But it is, you sometimes lose yourself in the world that you are, or you sometimes kind of create justifications for things you can do.
Yes.
I know it's not hurting anybody, right? If I pay less tax, but I will do charity here, or I will do here, or the roads suck anyway.
So what if I throw garbage on that road?
Or what's the point of paying tax? Or why should I kind of? And it's tough. I don't know if it helps because you've had so many years of experience in so many different fields to come to that kind of zen.
No.
Was that always
experience and age doesn't give you wisdom? How many people do you know who are 75 years old who are rank evil?
No, but it helps. At least it helps me. It's helped me.
I mean, child sexual abuse is something I've been working on for the last 25 years, and you'll be shocked to know. Government statistics of 15 years ago is 51%. Let's say it's 60%. I mean, 2/3 of all children in this country have been sexually abused. Who's doing the abusing? 90% of it is in the home. I'm talking about the patriarch of the family.
And you know, when I was growing up,
So just
Yeah.
to finish, that's experience and zero wisdom, cruelty.
in fact, manipulation, using the wisdom, because when we were growing up,
So I think the idea of being a good person can happen when you're 20,
yeah,
can happen when you're 200. It's a choice that you have to, and I make that choice very selfishly. Honestly, Rushank, I will not be able to sleep at night if I know I have willingly done something wrong.
where I was getting at is that when we say contextual,
Gee.
and there's, you know, the Epstein list, there's what you've been working on. Those are easy for most of us to come
Gee.
out and say, yeah, this is absurd. Like,
Right.
hang the guy, jail the guy,
Right.
if there's something worse. And then there's the little stuff, which everyone lives with on a
Correct.
day-to-day basis,
Correct.
right? Whether it's, you know, I know you want...
Bribing a cop for 50 rupees so that you can get out of the signal.
but he doesn't
or
get a
littering.
salary, right? Like I've had this... I work in real estate, I work with a lot of bureaucrats.
You work in a very grey profession.
But one of the first things I tell, you know, when we have a sort of over the coffee discussion or something stronger, is that my firm belief is that the fact that, this is a little controversial, but the fact that the municipal commissioner of Bombay isn't paid something like 300-400 crores a year is one of the most weird economic disparities I have ever seen, because he's running a budget that is larger. To expect that many people to consistently work for the greater good, to expect to do what you did purely in rugby, which is that there is, I'm assuming, less economic benefit of rugby. In many ways,
When I was there, it was zero.
yeah, in many ways it harms your acting gigs, right? 6 months you can't act, or maybe you break a nose and something like that. And that was the same in cricket as well, right? Like, for a lot of people, match fixing in a lot of the smaller countries was an economic decision. There just
Interesting.
wasn't food on the table. And so even
I never looked at it that way.
even if you look at it now, in soccer, right, and it's a sport I watch, I love football. A lot of the match, it's not Virat Kohli in the IPL getting paid 100 crores that you can influence. But, you know, in the Azad Maidan Premier League, or in,
Understood.
you know, in games in Africa where the salary is $30 a
It
day.
is contextual, but I mean, in my context,
Yeah.
what do I have? What excuse do I have to do something wrong?
Yeah,
I've got
no.
food on the table.
Correct.
You know, I'm a single man.
So I was more in that sense,
Yeah.
where that sometimes once you enter some of these kind of things, the snowballing effect of that starts adding up. And then even if you can't sleep at night, you don't know the exit. There's no kind of good, because I've seen so many people like that. when
And,
we've
and
had-
those mini justifications
it
become
just
bigger.
snowballs. And so, in fact, I was saying what you're saying is brilliant. And like you said, like we discussed, there's always a little bit of luck. You know, you got the movie, which allowed you to play the rugby, I think. And I'm maybe speaking on your behalf, but kind of makes it easy, relatively speaking. So that was my next question to you, which is that had you not had the movie career, would it have been as easy to play in rugby internationally?
Much easier.
It would have been easier, and you would have still done it.
Yeah.
Without the kind of.
Yeah.
So it was just pure love of the game.
Yeah. My God, I fell in love with this game. I fell in love with this game. I played this game when I was 13, but I fell in love with this game when I was about 16. I
Okay.
just, you know, Rushank, I'm heterosexual, so there are some women who you just fall in
Yeah.
love with.
Walk in the room.
There are some sports you fall in love with. There are some people, there are some books that resonate with you. What I loved about rugby was its rhythm and its nobility. It's one of the most noble sports you can
It
play.
is. It is.
That's you play for each other,
Yeah.
and it's battle. But at the end of the day, this having a beer with your other team,
Yeah.
which now cricket emulates, it's a rugby thing. You, as soon as the whistle went, that means sundown, battle is over for the day. Because you had given everything on
I
that
was going to
field,
say, was it because physically it was just there was
physically
nothing
and
left.
emotionally,
There was nothing left.
nothing left. You just drank with the other team till dawn. You had a great time.
And do you almost feel it was a privilege that you guys all, whoever it was, almost, you sometimes listen to cricketers and people who play football, and they're like, it's so commercial that there's too much pressure, that you can't purely play for the love of the sport.
Do you know one of the top teams in the world, national teams, international teams, refused to play a rugby test match because 4 rungs below them, like say district cricket, they had not been paid their salary. In their country, they said, अगर इनको आप पैसा नहीं दोगे, हम नहीं खेलेंगे देश के लिए. They just protested. The money was paid, they played. The culture of rugby is is as egalitarian as possible. They are the lowest paid top athletes in the world. The Rugby Premier League, we get the best athletes here. The money is 1/100th of football and cricket. 1/100th. They're all coming. Not because they know India, not because they're doing it because they're social service. That's enough. It's enough. The money that's made in rugby is this much. Most of it is given to various countries across the world at various levels. It's not given to the players. The players make to be comfortable. That's it. There's no star culture in rugby. There's not a single rugby player you'll hear of. But put them on the field.
Except when England wins.
And you put them on the field against the top players in other sport, and they'll be unknown. But when you see what they're capable of doing, you're like, my God, this guy's a superhuman man. And so that personality cult is not there. If I was in advertising, which I wasn't before I became an actor, I'd be in advertising. I'd be playing rugby without any fear. I wouldn't have my microsurgeon on speed dial. I wouldn't have to rely on Deepak to make me look acceptable before I get onto camera.
And that aspect of rugby, in many ways you're fighting against that. Because I don't know how much commercialized, I feel like it's tough to have both. It's tough to have that homely feel and make a sport commercial and do sort of the Indian Premier League of rugby, Rugby Premier League, and have people get paid more and stuff like that, right? Is that a fear?
So, when I became president of Rugby India, I went to one of the sponsors and said, यार मुझे 1 crore दो, मुझे player को पैसे देने हैं.
Okay.
They can't play for free anymore like I used to play. मुझे शर्म आती है. यहाँ पे वो पसीना नहीं खून बहाते हैं. तो प्लीज प्लेयर को हमें पैसा देना ही पड़ेगा. तो उन्होंने कहा कि ठीक है आप हिसाब करो. How much do you want to pay? I said just the national teams. Boys, girls, under 18, men, women. 6 जो national teams हैं उनको हम पैसा देंगे. ट्रेनिंग के लिए पैसा देंगे. कैंप के लिए पैसा देंगे. इंश्योरेंस के लिए पैसा देंगे because you break, and मैच खेलने के लिए पैसा देंगे. And it came to 1 crore 1 lakhs. 1 lakh.
Overall. Everybody.
Yeah, overall.
Everybody.
Paying not much, 3,000 rupees a week, etc. But a player would be able to go home with 25,000-30,000 rupees in their pocket. I said, let me start with this. I got the crore. And today, as we have moved on, I can say without a shadow of doubt that at least 20 players have come to me and said, "Aapki badaulat," not me, but the federation, ghar ka chulha jalta hai. Because even if they take home 1 lakh, it's 8,000 bucks a month for a tribal kid. And rugby is played by tribal kids. Rugby is played by kids from the lowest part of the pyramid. We're in 322 districts. 40% of India plays rugby, but the poorest of the poor play rugby. You never see them. But we are performing brilliantly. Our women are 6th in Asia out of 36 nations. If they get to the top 2, they'll be in the Olympics. Do you know for 80 years, India has only had hockey in the Olympics? No other team has gone to the Olympics except hockey. We'll be the next in 2032. मैं पक्का कह रहा हूँ कि India will have, our team will be in the Olympics. So, to commercialize the sport, the Rugby Premier League, for example, happened in Mumbai last year. It's happening in another city this year. Why? Yes, it's a urban, upscale, sharp, attractive, gorgeous product with superhuman men and now women also who are going to be playing. And it's by the advertisers of very premium advertising. Jio Hotstar sent us the results of last year. 72% belong to digitally affluent households where their digital phones are connected to their TVs. Right? So this is who we want to get to. Why? Why? Because then I will get sponsorship.
Of course.
Because then I will get people to the networks to back the sport. And with that money I can then take it and say 1 lakh nahi aapko 10 lakh मिलेगा. And also through the Rugby Premier League, all our players are becoming stars. So
Correct.
Mohit, who was, he in the auction, he went for 5 lakhs. 5 lakhs in one day. In one day.
Which for him...
For 15 days of rugby,
Yeah.
he got 5 lakhs. And the captain of the Indian women's team during the Olympic qualifiers is a tribal from Odisha. From 2 years ago, I'm giving you a story. Her state won the national games. Her state won the nationals. She played for a university. They won. She picked up 20 lakhs in 1 year. She's building a house in Dhatika village. She's built a house in Dhatika village in
Which will
Kyonjhar
encourage
district.
more women, which will encourage,
So why is this commercial push? I don't care about anything. I just care about the players. I just care about the people of this country who, whether they play rugby or whether they are at your building site, the people who do this with so much of honesty because they just want a better life for their children. Those are the people I help.
These kind of sports, they're good for the national psyche as well. It's a service both ways. When people do well, when you say, we were talking about the Paralympics, we had a podcast with Ms. Deepa, and she kind of had, and it's just, for years we felt like Indians can't play rugby, or we're not physically strong enough, or there's this issue or that issue, right? And so when you are able to compete, now, when I was growing up, we could never have fielded well. And it turns out it's not genetic.
Correct.
It's just we didn't have the fields, and we didn't have the nutrition.
Correct.
And we didn't have the knowledge.
Correct.
Oh, we're the same, and
Correct.
it's all equal. And you're even educated. We know we're equal, but you keep getting beat. You keep getting beat, and then you're like, maybe we should do business. We should not. And then
Correct.
when I was telling you, we had someone we know in common. I went to school with. When I heard that, that's the first time, 10th grade, that I even heard that there was international rugby. I'm like, we could play rugby. Like it's a silly thing, but
of course.
I was affluent. I had access to stuff, and I still didn't know.
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to kind of, and then when you get these stories, it kind
And
of
as
really
soon as you win,
adds.
and as soon as we win, and we haven't had a big win
Yet.
We won at the
Which
Asian
was
level.
83 for the cricket.
For cricket, correct.
Yeah.
So that big win, when the big win happens now, the floodgates will open.
So so I've hopefully this is my 4th in a row, but so cricket, you don't really need to. It's famous anyway, everyone knows. But when we spoke to Mr. Vishwanathan Anand, that started the chess. When we spoke to Saina, that started badminton.
Yeah.
And now we're there.
Yeah.
India beat number one, right? And so the hope is that, when I speak to you and in the next 5 years, they're like, yeah, of course we could have been good at rugby. We just needed the money, we just needed the facilities, we just needed the diet.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no other.
So what happens, Shashank, is that I've studied sports and sports cycles across the world, East Germany and swimming, China and diving, for example,
or badminton, ping pong.
And America and athletics, NCAA, and so every sport has 3 stages.
Okay.
The first stage, चल हम सब बैठ के we just all of us love rugby. तो आपने 5 रुपए दिए, आपने 50 दिए, आपने 25 दिए, सब पूल करके हम चले गए सिंगापुर खेलने के लिए. एक बार गए, तुम टी-शर्ट्स बना रहे हो, तुम जूते दे रहे हो. After some time से ऐसा नहीं होगा. We need to थोड़ा सा structure बनाते हैं. So in the second phase, what you do is you start to pay the players, you start to give them good equipment, you start to give them the right food, the right psychologist, all of that. But there's nobody paying for it.
Got it.
There's no sponsor coming in as yet.
Got it.
Nobody's paying for this. I've stopped asking you for the money.
Yeah.
I have to get the money from somebody who now believes कि 10 साल के बाद आप जो कह रहे ऐसा होगा. तो 10 साल के लिए I'll do it. And the third phase is when you do it and then everybody comes on board. Most sports collapse in the second phase because they don't have anybody who will believe without a tangible reward.
Yeah.
So this part, most sports will fade away. You look at all the sports in history that have faded away in their societies, in the ecosystem, is because of this. Rugby right now is in the middle of the second cycle.
Got it.
Where we still need people to believe. We've got a few victories, but we still need people to believe in the vision and the dream. And the only way they'll believe it is if they see कि नहीं यार, ये बंदा जो है ये जो कर रहा है ये सही तरीके से हो रहा है, एवरीथिंग इज बीइंग डन करेक्टली. अब जो मुनाफा होगा वो आगे होगा, लेकिन पटरी तो बन गई है. या and it's being done correctly. So we were awarded the best federation in the country last year. Not because
Congratulations.
thank you. Not because we are world beaters, but because everything is done ethically, everything is done truthfully, transparently, and for the player. And forget about us taking even 1 rupee. I might have given many rupees to this in the last 4 years as president. A lot of my money might have gone into this, to the sport, only because that's how passionate I am about it. So this middle phase, I am absolutely confident we will cross. I just wanted to cross this middle phase, and then somebody else can take this
So
sport.
what's the goal? When do you know the middle phase is crossed in your mind?
2030, we should medal in the Asian Games.
Both teams?
No.
The women's?
Yeah.
The men's team that you
2034.
And that you were a part of.
Yeah.
That you love, that you played for the country. You choose not to answer the question, but it's a more technical question. Because I love sport, and most games you would have played, we would not have been the favorites.
Yeah.
How do you approach that? Like, how do you approach that constant, okay, we're not as good, we're underfunded, just constantly?
We'll be better tomorrow. That's the wonderful thing about the human condition. Human beings always have to believe tomorrow will be a better day.
Sure.
So,
but no frustrations, no like.
Did we play our best?
Okay.
We lost 93-0 to Singapore in our first test match, which is like losing 9-0 in a football game.
Yeah.
Did we play our best? Could we have played better? So, for any sports person who plays internationally, the biggest frustration which you cannot sleep at night is if you didn't play your best. If you played your best and you lost 100-0, no problem.
You were just better.
But if you didn't play your best and you won 50-0, it'll still bug you.
Any victory that really sticks in your mind?
We never won. In my 11 years, we never won.
No, I mean, you may not be on the international stage. I'm just saying, like, you
Any
personally, like you personally, like, this is keeping me going. This is, maybe when you played for the Gymkhanas, maybe when you played your first time.
I mean, definitely, when I was 20 years old, I wanted to start my own team in the club. And the senior team said, you can start an under-19 team. You're 20, you start an under-19 team.
This is Bombay Gym?
Yeah. So out of the 22 players in the squad, 13 had never played rugby before.
Yeah.
And I had 3 months to teach them rugby and go to the nationals, the National Inter-Club Championship. Homi Adijania was one of the players who had played before, a few of us. So there were 9 of us who had played and 13 who had never played.
Yeah.
And I took this, it's like a movie, this motley bunch of people and began to train them. And we, all of them under 19, there was a 15th tournament, we lost to the ultimate winners, we were robbed of victory, and we set the stadium alight because people were like, what incredible rugby these guys are playing, and we lost, literally we were robbed of victory. But the 7-a-side tournament that happened, we hammered every single existing team in India, hammered by 15 to 20 points. And we were strolling, we were that good. And I was like, I mean, like, this, we can do this, I can do this. This can happen. You just have to commit, and it can happen. It was many years ago. I was 20, that was 38 years ago. But it was a great feeling. And now when I see our men and women playing, last year was a great year for us. Our women upset 4 countries, and now from 10th in Asia they became 6th. And the whole of Asia is shook now. And our men have entered the elite group for the first time. When I used to walk by watching an international rugby game anywhere in the world, I would just say, wow, what rhythm, what style, what effortlessness, what beauty. It's like a clock.
Yeah.
One day we'll get there. And in my 4 years as president, we haven't gotten there till last year.
You feel it?
Last year, I said, forget about me being Indian. If this team walked on the field and I saw them playing, what would I think? I was like, man, it's clicking, it's working, it's beautiful, it's got rhythm, it's got poetry, it's magical to watch. And that's when I said, okay, now we're talking.
Now we're good.
Now there's a self-belief that makes it even more stylish when you play. You know, teams that have self-belief, that are used to winning, they move differently. And that's what our team was looking like. I was like, this feeling is so good. It's like when the Rugby Premier League, when the best players in the world came and we had this immaculate, faultless tournament.
Yeah.
Immaculate. And over 1.5 million people had watched it. And I went onto the field at the end, at night. Karigars were taking down the stage.
Yeah.
Lights were off. It was darkness. And I took a 360-degree view of just nothing, of the stadium, from the center of the pitch. Then I turned the camera on me. And I felt the fullest feeling of thank you to the universe. Not we are so great, but just a thank you that it happened. And we did it, Prashant, ethically.
Yeah.
We didn't break a rule. We didn't have to go through the back door. Nothing. Everything was done ethically, transparently, honestly, and it was world class. And it was the world's first franchise-based rugby league that we've done in India.
And now we have the second one in a couple of months, in June.
Yeah, June 16th to 28th.
On Hotstar.
On Jio Hotstar, on Star Sports Select and Star Sports YouTube.
Any cool players? And I know it's not an individual sport, but you know that's kind of how young people get into sport.
Yeah.
Is a player they follow,
Yeah.
or maybe a style or a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody you recommend that people do some research
Well,
on?
I mean, there's...
and we'll put links and we'll put highlights.
There's Manu Moreno and Paul Pla from Spain. There's Henry Hutchison from Australia. There's Regan Ware.
Any game we should see from last year that if someone really wants to watch rugby and they're like, oh, go
a
watch.
rugby game is only 16 minutes.
I know. So any 3-4 games.
So all you have to do is get onto our Rugby Premier League on YouTube, and you can watch any of the games because the best players in the world. There's the best Argentinian, the best Spanish, the best French, the best English, the best South African, playing against the best New Zealand, the best Australian, the best. So I think any game you watch is super exciting because it is short and it is so fast and so easy to understand.
And will people have like just some understanding on these websites where they can go and just understand a little bit of the...
You just have to run with the ball and put it across that line.
Got it.
Right? So, as one of my sponsors said, Mardhar, score.
Got it.
And somebody else said, Mardhar, you have to run. So you run with your team. If somebody comes in the way, smash them and go. And if they have the ball, smash them, get the ball and run as well. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
You know, I think when we eat a world-class meal, when we wear a world-class piece of clothing, when we sit in a world-class room, we might not know about architecture, about tailoring, or about cooking, but we know when we are in the presence of something world-class. And that, when whoever wants to watch this, they'll know that they're watching something which is world-class.
Rahul, thank you so much. To be in the presence of a great actor is always nice. And I hope you enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, I loved it.
So thank you.